If you want some coins for the new Road to the Final promo, check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get 5% off your order. This supports the channel greatly, and I do very much appreciate it. So what's up guys, my name's Ash, welcome back to a brand new video. I'm a little bit down today guys, because my dog of about 10 years is now starting to decline and deteriorate, and he's not looking too good. So I'm feeling a little bit down, because he is like my best friend, so I hope you guys understand that. And if you want to show support for him, just put Harvey the dog in the comments, because he's an absolute tank, he's my best friend, and yeah, it would mean a lot to me. But anyway, sorry about that guys. In today's video we've got a 4-3-2-1 custom tactics and player instructions video, and yeah, just before we get into it, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, that does really help with the YouTube search. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new, so you don't miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's video. So starting off with the custom tactics guys, for the defensive style I like to use balance. This is because it gives you the greatest control over your defense, where you're able to press when you need to press, and you're able to drop off and be more conservative when you need to be. So balance is definitely the best option in my opinion. If you feel more comfortable using pressure tactics however, then go right ahead. Moving on to the defensive width guys, I'm currently using this on 40. This is so we can primarily defend in a narrow shape. This stops people just playing through the middle and scoring those easy goals, and when they do try and go down the wing, we've also got that natural width to cover those areas and win the ball back there, so it does work very nicely. Now for the depth guys, I'm currently using this on 55. This is so we're not constantly getting pinned back, but at the same time we're not too far forward and getting through balled all the time, so it is a nice balanced defensive line in my opinion. Now moving on to the build up play guys, I suggest using this on balance. This is because it suits you up for the most types of FIFA 23 gameplay you might experience, whether it be fast gameplay, slow gameplay, fast and laggy gameplay. There's so many different types. Balance gets you covered in all different scenarios. Fast build up is alright when the gameplay is good, but it very rarely is. Now moving on to chance creation guys, I suggest using direct passing. This is because if you look at the diagram in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see the white dots, which are your attackers. They're constantly moving around in that dynamic motion to break through the defensive line. If you look at something like balance, this doesn't happen. Everything's very static, so it's important to use direct passing in my opinion. Some people prefer forward runs, and you can feel free to use that, but I feel like you can get counter attacked too easily when you use it, and I think direct passing is better for creating chances anyway. Moving on to the attacking width guys, I use this on 47. The reason I have a slightly higher width than let's say like the 4-2-3-1 for example is because I don't like the three forwards completely sitting on each other. Although it's a narrow formation, I like there to be a bit of space between the three forwards, so yeah, this seems to be a bit more balanced for me, but at the same time I don't want the width super high, otherwise it's more like a 4-3-3. Now moving on to players in box guys, I'm currently using this on 6. This is so we have a nice balance of getting players into the box to create chances, and at the same time we still have players back so we don't get counter attacked. As for corners and free kicks, I have these both on 1 because I have a corner kick routine that I use that you guys can check out in the top right hand corner of the screen if you like, and it is very effective. Now for the players you want to use guys, in the striker position I suggest a nice well-rounded striker. This is because it is a one striker formation, so you kind of have to get a nice well-rounded striker to compensate for the fact that there is one striker instead of 2. So I'm using the Robbie Keane card, as he's got a 5-star weak foot, he's got very balanced stats, and he's got good shooting, good dribbling. Basically he can do a bit of everything in that striker position. Now for the right forward and the left forward, or the two centre forwards, whatever you want to call them, I suggest good winger players. These are going to be your main outlets in the formation, and they almost replace wingers in like the 4-3-3, so it's important you do use those types of players, because you're not going to want super clunky players, you're not going to want slow players, otherwise you're going to find it very difficult to create chances, especially on the break. So make sure you're using good technical winger players, and if you can get it, like 5-star skills is really useful, but yeah, just go for really good winger style players in these positions. Now in the left centre mid spot, I suggest using a box to box midfielder, so I'm using the flashback Paul Pogba. You want somebody very well well-rounded stats, and if you can get it, a high work rate so you get the maximum contribution in attack and defense. But don't worry too much if you can't get the perfect work rate, because for example this Pogba is a high medium and he still works just fine. So work rates are something you should aim for, but if you can't get them, don't worry too much. Now in the middle centre mid spot, we're going to want to use more of like a DM player, somebody that's going to stay back, break up the play and really add defensive support. And if you can get it, a medium high work rate is super beneficial as you get maximum contribution in defense and they're not going to be too bothered about attack, but just primarily go for a card that is very good defensively. Now in the right centre mid spot, we're actually going to want to use an attacking player, so somebody like an Mbappe, a Neymar, a Messi, or as you can see I'm using Chiesa. You don't want to worry about this player being a centre mid because this will make sense in the player instructions, but yeah, just go for a nice attacking player in this position. As for the two fullbacks, I like to go for a bit of a balance between the two, where I have Roberto Carlos, who is a bit better going forward, and Cafu, who is a bit more defensively solid. I like to have a balance between the two, but if you want to use two attacking fullbacks or two defensive fullbacks, that is completely up to you. As for the centre backs and the goalkeeper, these just need to be as good as you can get them. Moving on to the player instructions, guys. In the striker position, I like to just use stay central and leave everything else alone. We have him on stay central because we don't want him drifting off to the wide areas. We need him to be in the central areas as where a striker should be, so that is super important. And we have him on mixed attack because I feel like if you put him on getting behind, sometimes he feels very disconnected from the rest of the team and it does affect your build-up play, so having it on mixed attack does really work very well with this formation. Now for the left forward, we actually have him on comeback on defense. This is so this formation will defend in a 4-4-2. So by putting this left forward on comeback on defense, it means Di Maria will come back to defend as a left midfielder. So the way this team will set up is the back four will be completely the same. Di Maria will be a left mid, Pogba will be a left centre mid, Jorginho will be a right centre mid, Chiesa will be a right mid, and then Jairzinho and Robbie Keane will be those two strikers. So the reason we do this is because the 4-4-2 is a very good defensive formation. Now moving on to the right forward, we have stay central and get in behind. We have him on stay central because we don't want him drifting off into those wide areas, otherwise it feels more like a 4-3-3. So it's important we have him on stay central so he is getting involved as much as possible, and we have him on getting behind so he can utilise his pace to get in behind, and it really does help movement. So sometimes Robbie Keane will sit like a little bit deeper, and having like this forward on getting behind means we have a bit of fluidity, and Keane could maybe play in like Jairzinho or something like that. It does work very well with this formation, having this forward on getting behind. Now for the left centre mid, guys, we have default settings and cover centre. The reason we have default settings is because we don't want to restrict this player too much. We want him to attack and defend, and we want the work rate to carry him if we have a high work rate. So, you know, just go for default settings as we don't want to restrict this box-to-box player. The only important thing is cover centre, so he defends as one of the centre mids in this 4-4-2. Now for the middle centre mid, guys, we have stay back while attacking, stay on the edge of the box across, and cover centre. We have him on stay back because he's not going to go forward. We don't need him to. He's defensive. We have him on stay on the edge of the box across because let's say we accidentally trigger a run forward with him. We don't want him darting all the way into the box. We want him to sit outside the box so he's not going too far forward. Then we also have him on cover centre so he defends as one of the middle centre mids in this 4-4-2. Now moving on to the right centre mid, the attacking player that we use, we have get forward, get into the box across, and cover wing. Now the reason we do this is get forward means he's gonna help contribute to the attack, meaning he's not gonna sit back, he's really gonna get involved. Get into the box for cross means he's gonna make the transitional runs into the penalty box to get more involved in the attacks. If we have him on balanced crossing runs, he's a bit too passive and it doesn't really add too much to the attack. So get into the box cross, super important. Doesn't mean you have to cross the ball, just means they do make those runs. We also have him on cover wing, so he defends as a right mid in the 4-4-2. This is super important, otherwise it messes up this formation. Now moving on to the left back, my more attacking fullback, I have balance attack and overlap. The reason I do this is because this formation is obviously quite narrow, so sometimes it's important to get that extra width where we are lacking it, because obviously we're playing very narrow a lot of the time. Sometimes it's important to have that wider option to maybe retain possession and become unpredictable. It does really help with the attack, and I do very much suggest having this left back on balanced attack and overlap. overlap. Overlap means he makes the overlapping runs to add width instead of coming narrow. Moving on to the right back, we have stay back while attacking and overlap because he's our more defensive fullback. We don't need him to go forward. We want at least 3 defenders back all the time to make it as defensively solid as possible. And we have him on overlap because let's say I do trigger a run forward with him, we want him to make the overlapping runs to add the extra width. We don't want him coming narrow because we've already got enough narrow players. As for the centre backs and the goalkeeper, I just leave them alone. But yeah guys, they're my custom tactics for probably my favourite formation in the game right now, the 4-3-2-1. If you guys have enjoyed or found this useful, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and I'll catch you all later. Peace.